she's a corrupt politician. She's never had a salary of over $250,000 a year, and she has a $60 million net worth. How does that happen? I mean, they're going to tell me to use a CBDC, and I'm going to give them the finger. These kinds of acts are blatantly un-American, unconstitutional. But what would you expect from a very, very corrupt set of rulers and governors who, think that they can get away with this stuff? As more and more people come to see, I should save in this money, the price is going to go, in my opinion, much higher. I mean, I think we'll hit 100,000, then I think we'll hit 1 million, then I think we'll ultimately hit $10 million a coin.
Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Talk Crypto. Lawrence Lepard, the founder and managing partner at Equity Management Associates, is certain that the dollar will keep declining over time, thus providing an advantage to hard assets like Bitcoin. Larry is a firm believer that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency with any real value. He puts this down to its decentralized management structure and predetermined monetary policy. Additionally, he dismisses other cryptocurrencies as fraudulent. In this latest interview with Kitco News, Larry discussed the series of attacks on Bitcoin and the crypto market. He's of the opinion that a part of the outrage against crypto is due to Sam Bankman-Freed's fraudulent behavior. He was highly critical of the SEC for delaying action, and voiced his belief that their purpose was to damage the crypto industry. Larry also discussed Operation Choke Point 2.0, which is purported to be a government effort to restrict crypto from obtaining financial resources in conventional banking services. Let's listen to Lawrence Lepard as he shares his insights on the subject as well as his latest Bitcoin price prediction. But before we do, please consider subscribing to our channel, as we bring you daily content on the latest crypto news. And now, let's jump right into the video.
Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency with any value, full stop. I don't even believe in Ethereum. And I'll explain that very quickly why. It's because Bitcoin has a decentralized management structure, decentralized organization structure, and it's because Bitcoin has a known monetary policy where there'll only be 21 million of them. Every other cryptocurrency, in my opinion, is an unregulated security. It has a CEO, and they have a policy of issuing some number of tokens based upon what the CEO or others say. And as long as that's the case, it's really just like the government. They can dilute their crypto. And so all crypto, in my opinion, is a fraud. Bitcoin is actually an important technological innovation, which is immutable digital scarcity, full stop. So let me say that. A lot of people are mad at crypto, and they should be. And where Warren is coming from and where this choke point thing is coming from is partly out of embarrassment. I mean, Sam Bankman-Freed, basically rug pulled, billions, literally billions of dollars, bigger than Bernie Madoff, right? Billions of dollars of capital from unsuspecting investors who had money in his FTX organization. And where was the SEC when this was going down? We basically knew Bankman-Freed was a fraud. It was so obvious. And yet, Gary Gensler was sitting on his thumbs. And there's some who've even said, as you pointed out pre-show, that maybe it was intentional. They wanted to blow up crypto. But the point is, the horse escaped, and now Washington is embarrassed, and they're trying to close the barn door. And that's just wrong. They're not making a distinction between crypto and Bitcoin. And more importantly, the horse has already escaped. So I'm not quite sure where she's coming from. I think she probably pulled it, and it'll get her votes. She's a corrupt politician. She's never had a salary of over $250,000 a year, and she has a $60 million net worth. How does that happen? The government has made a very concerted effort to try and shut down banks that are helping the crypto industry. In fact, Barney Frank, who was the author of, Dodd-Frank, was on the board of Signature Bank, and Signature Bank was shut down by the government, and it was not in trouble. And the reason they shut it down is because it was doing a lot of business with these crypto companies, and they didn't like that. We've also seen a company called Custodia, run by a woman named Caitlin Long, who's very active on Twitter. It's a company I've invested in, full disclosure, so I believe in her thesis, who is trying to establish a fully reserved bank that does business and would have a stable coin that would work with Bitcoin. And the Federal Reserve has shut her down. And she has basically found out through back channels that has occurred because the major banks in New York, I'm looking at Jamie Dimon and JP Morgan, but I think there are others involved, have gone to Jerome Powell and said, this would not be good for our business. We do not want banks that are focused on Bitcoin in this manner. And so, the Federal Reserve has not granted her the license to build a crypto bank that by law she ought to be entitled to. So the vested interests in the banking world do not want to see crypto survive. The Lightning Network allows people to move currency, money, between themselves for less than a penny per transaction. And, right now, MasterCard and Visa are charging, 3% or 300 basis points on every single transaction you make using their cards. This would effectively destroy their businesses. And so you can see that there are very big vested interests that do not want to let cryptocurrency disrupt the existing financial, system. Look, the people who run this system, they're very, very rich and they're very, very powerful and they want to defend the system. And so they are going to use every tool they think they can get away with to try to force all of us to comply. I mean, the CBDC that you alluded to, most Americans aren't going to fall for this shit. I mean, they're going to tell me to use a CBDC and I'm going to give them the finger. These kinds of acts and things are blatantly un-American, unconstitutional, and not not based on the principles that this country was founded on. But what would you expect from a very, very corrupt, very, very powerful set of rulers and governors who, think that they can get away with this stuff? I mean, Janet Yellen tells us, she flip-flopped 5 times on whether they were going to back all the banks. I mean, this is a woman who got paid $7 million for giving speeches to the banks. I mean, what could she possibly say that's worth $7 million? Nothing. They gave her $7 million as a bribe so that she would go easy on the regulation of the banks. And that's just the way the system works.
Larry believes that Bitcoin is a decentralized financial system which can pose a challenge to traditional finance and currencies like the US dollar or central bank digital currency. He has voiced his concern about the Restrict Act, a proposed bill to ban the app TikTok that is being considered by Congress. He highlighted that its language is vague and could potentially be used to shut down cryptocurrencies. Let's get back to the video as he further highlights his predictions for the Bitcoin price.
I could very easily see people in positions of power saying, these gold and Bitcoin people, they're really kind of ruining our monetary system. And, that what they're doing is un-American. I mean, and just as they told us we had to buy, government bonds to support World War II, they're going to say these, gold and Bitcoin people are bad people and we need to tax that shit like 90%. I mean, that's entirely possible. I don't, write that off. The thing though, that here's where I think we ultimately win. It's going to change. It literally changes the balance of power between individuals and governments. And I think we're going to a much more decentralized world in the future. And I think big governments peaked in World War II. They managed to figure out how to slaughter 50 million people. And ever since then, we've been going towards a decentralized world. And the microchip started it, the internet spread it, and Bitcoin is going to help to perfect it. The amount of time it takes from 0% penetration to 10% penetration of the population, the number of years that takes, then in turn, the next set of that number of years gets you from 10% to 90%. So, in this case, in the Bitcoin case, it was, 14 years old. And I think we estimate that about 10% of the world or 10% of the first world owns Bitcoin or is involved in Bitcoin in some form. And so, and certainly more than that are aware of it, but I'm talking about people who've actually bought some. And so if it took 14 years to get to 10%, the theory is it would take another 14 years and 90% of the world would own some Bitcoin, if it really is the technological innovation that I believe it is. And so, that would imply that we're going to go through a very big growth curve here. And, you've got this is, as a commodity, Bitcoin is, there's a fixed supply. There are only 21 million of them. It's the only, this is very interesting. It's the only commodity in the world where supply does not go up as a result of higher prices. Think about it. If gold goes to $10,000 tomorrow, we're going to mine more gold. There's just no doubt, right? Because we know where it is. It's just not economic to get it out of the ground. Whereas if Bitcoin goes to $100,000, tomorrow, there's not going to be any more Bitcoin created. So that's a very powerful thing. And so, there's 7+ billion people on the planet. There are 21 million of these coins. It's a very sound form of money. As more and more people come to see, I should save in this money. The price is going to go, in my opinion, much higher. I mean, I think we'll hit 100,000, then I think we'll hit 1 million, then I think we'll ultimately hit $10 million a coin. I mean, I'm sure my grandkids will be shocked at people who own one whole coin. I mean, being a whole coiner will be a big deal. If you kind of look at the pattern, you look at how far it tends to go off the bottom of the pattern. it would strike me that the next run ought to take us to about 100, and that would probably be sometime within the next 2 years. And then that 100 would probably correct down to 40, we're higher than it is today. And then the 40, wave up from there might take us to, I don't know, 200, 250, something like that. I mean, it's, it tends to go in waves. I think by the end of 2024, we'll definitely be at 100,000. I'll write that in stone, probably higher. I think by the way, at the end of 2024, I think gold will be well over 3,000, maybe 3,500 or higher.
And do you have an end of 2023 Bitcoin price
end of 2023
prediction?
for Bitcoin? What's it, 30 now? I guess at the end of the year, we'd be bumping up against the old high. We'd be kind of right at it, 67-ish, 68, something like that. I think there's a high probability we're at 60 by the end of the year in Bitcoin. We're at 30 now. That's not that far out there. And I think there's a high probability we're at 3,000 in gold by the end of the year. And the reason I say this is I see the cracks in the financial system. I mean, I think if anything, both of those projections are probably too low. I mean, in other words, it's probably going to be higher than that. But I don't want to say a higher number and then I come up a little short and you say, oh, you missed it.
Larry is certain that as more and more people come to the conclusion that fiat currencies are doomed, they will confidently make the move to Bitcoin, and its value and prevalence will continue to increase. No matter what outside forces are up against it, the crypto giant cannot be destroyed, it can only be delayed. What is your take on the wars against crypto and Larry's price prediction for Bitcoin? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. This is Let's Talk Crypto, and we'll see you in the next video.